Now, we want to take a look at something that should be of interest to all of us. Many of us have, the natural habit of working extremely long hours, leaving very early in the day, coming back late at night. Even when whether we drive our own vehicles or we take public transport, one of the things that is definitely part of the way the modern era works is that a lot of people live far away from their workplaces, which means you're spending hours in town and hours either commuting to work or commuting back home from work. Now, what this does to us is that it means that we will get hungry in between the transition between home and being at work. And so we rely a lot on food vendors that will provide food in communities, places, neighborhoods, and so on. Here's the question. How many of these people, per the way we want to run things in Ghana, are certified by the Food and Drugs Administration, the Food and Drugs Authority, right? How many of them are certified? How many of us even ask the question, not even to the vendor, we ask the question in our mind, right? This person that I'm buying the delicious, fried plantain and beans from, is he or she certified by the Food and Drugs Authority? Chris, do you ever go to a vendor point and ask yourself, now I'm not even saying ask the person, do you ask yourself, I wonder if this person is certified or not?
My mind is usually on the coffee Brookman and that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. On the roasted plantain, I don't even think about anything else.
So I'm curious about something. Does the FDA, for example, require people that sell seasonal food, like, for example,
like the corn.
Maize is not always in season, right? But it comes in season, and suddenly everybody has brought out their drums, the metallic drums with the coal pot fire underneath.
Yeah, even the ones with
the boiling.
Yeah, the boiling ones.
Yes, those are the ones that boil the plantain, right? And then those that roast and all of those things. It's seasonal, but it happens every year. They come, and all over the place is happening. Does the FDA even require such people to also have certification, and so on and so forth? So we're going to delve right now into this conversation. We have Amatu Subo Osman. She's the head of Street Food Inspections Unit at the FDA. And we're going to find out from her, what's the FDA's position on all of this? Hello, madam. Good morning. Welcome to Breakfast Daily.
Good morning, and good morning to your cherished listeners.
Right. So the question that we're asking right now is that even for people who, it's easy to identify people who have fixed locations, right? They have a kiosk, they have a store, they operate from there. They have a restaurant and so forth. They operate from that location on a daily basis. What about those who randomly pop up, and then those who sell food ad hoc on the streets, vending in traffic and all of those things? How do you monitor that space? Is it a requirement, or are those, not necessarily part of the regime that you oversee?
Okay. First off, let me start by saying that with the street food regulation, it's something that we are doing in collaboration with the municipal assemblies, the Ministry of Local Government. We work hand in hand with the environmental health officers within the assemblies. And then for the exercise that we run, it's not just for vendors who are stationed. For now, for what we are doing, we are for vendors who are not stationed, we normally would sensitize them on good hygienic practices, how to handle the food safely. But for such vendors, sometimes because they are not stationed, it's difficult to, sometimes you meet them at a location, and the next time you go there, they've moved to another location. So it's a bit difficult when it comes to issuing them with permit for now. So, but currently what we are doing, we are focusing more on those who are stationed. So for instance, you have someone who is selling their wache, their kinke, they normally would have a specific location where they vend at. So we normally would inspect such vendors. And then for those who do not prepare the food at the vending location, we normally would go to the preparation area as well to inspect the preparation area as well. So we do this, as I said, hand in hand with the assemblies. Once we inspect and everything is okay, they are given their license. So let me add again that for the hawkers, for now, we sensitize them on good hygienic practices, how to ensure that they are practicing good practices such that the food that they are serving will be safe to the consumer.
All right. So before you give them their licenses, are these licenses free?
Yes, the licensing is free. The process is free.
Right. So basically.
So for now, once they are picking.
No, you can go ahead.
Okay, I'm listening.
No, you can go ahead. You can go ahead.
For now, the licensing is free.
All right. So the question I have for you is if we are looking at only sensitizing, that seems to leave a gap in terms of the people who hawking things like plantain chips, whether the plantain chips, the where and how it is prepared before it comes to the street, who manages that space. Those who are selling what we call bullfruit, right? Who manages that space? Is there any part of the FDA's inspectorate that is going to the sources of these places to make sure that we are not susceptible, to some kind of infection or infections because of how the preparation of these foods are? Is there any way, because you see, Chris, the question that I ask myself is that, think about it. If you're not requiring street vendors at this time to be licensed, and it's not complicated, and it shouldn't be complicated, right? It is okay to say that the stationary ones, because they are there, they are visible.
Yeah, and
you
it's
can
easy to
go
assess them.
and you can, But you see, this is what we've done. It's the same thing we do with these taxes of formal versus informal workers and all of that. We have made a mountain out of a molehill, and something that should be simple. So, for example, she just said it, that they do this in conjunction with the municipal assemblies. How about all you do when you get out of the street for your monitoring is to say, we're inspecting all of you that are here today. We're inspecting your permits. Where are your permits? Where are your permits? Nobody has a permit. Why don't you have a permit? Immediately, you take them back to the municipal office of that area, right? So number one, you're solving a problem by saying that they know who the authority is within their jurisdiction. In this area, here's the municipal office. So you take them back to the municipal office, number one. Number two, you use that opportunity, 10, 15 minutes, explain to them why everybody needs a permit or license to operate. It doesn't matter what you're selling, right? Number three, you then issue them, everybody there, a permit to function after inspecting and giving them the advocacy that they need, right? So you've solved a number of issues just by doing a swoop into an area. So, for example, you see the stretch between in front of the Jolu Junction, the Fiesta Royal area, right?
There are a lot of vendors.
Every time you look at vendors are clustered around traffic lights. So it makes your work relatively easy, right? Question: why don't you use that as a way of saying that, okay, today we are dealing with 3 traffic spots, 3 heavy vending traffic spots, right? And then you descend on the area, pull everybody together, inspect all of their licenses if you've been issuing. If you haven't been issuing, is an opportunity whilst you're doing the sensitization
Right.
to now sensitize, issue licenses, and that gives you the basis for regulating who has and who doesn't. Do you get it? All right. So we lost Amatu earlier on the line. She's joined us back again on the phone. And Amatu, welcome back. Hello?
Hello.
Yes, welcome back
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. So the question that I quickly wanted you to answer for us is,
Okay.
it looks like that space, when it comes to the vendors, apart from the sensitization, you're not requiring them necessarily to have permits. Is that right?
We are.
You are. So
Yes.
are you issuing permits to them?
Yes, we are. So
The-
as I indicated, it's in acquiring the permit, it's a process that you take.
Okay.
So, for instance, you sensitize the vendor.
Mm-hmm.
You need to inspect the vendor's food preparation area as well as the vendor's food service area.
Okay.
And there are key things that we look out for when we are doing these inspections.
Okay.
For instance, we look at the layout and fabrication of the preparation and vending area. That's just to say the general sanitation of the preparation area or the
Yeah.
vending area.
Yeah.
How the food is even being displayed. Is it such that it protects do you have a structure such that it protects the food from dust, pests, or even those coming to buy the food? So they don't talk directly in the food. You yourself, how is your appearance? Are you in a good state? Have you been medically screened? So we also look at your general sanitation, as in your personal hygiene. Are you in clean clothes? Do you wear aprons, cover your hair? These are all things that we look out for.
Okay.
Do you even have hand washing station?
Yeah.
Check that from time to time you are washing your hands, because bear in mind that you are taking money with your hands,
Yeah.
bare hands.
Okay.
You need to wash your hands regularly. How you managing your waste? How you having storing water?
Right. So now, how do you actually, manage and follow the online vendors? Obviously, you've been talking about the street vendors, but now let's talk about online vendors. A lot of people buy from online vendors. So how do you actually follow up with them and even meet them and even go through this same process that you have just said that you go with the street vendors with them?
So for the online vendors, currently we have teams who have been tasked to also do electronic surveillance online to identify these vendors who advertise their food online. Once we do that, we reach out to them as well, sensitize them on the need to acquire these permits, forward them the application forms. We follow up to make sure that they apply for the food hygiene permit. Then we get them inspected. Once they comply with good hygienic practices, we issue them with the permit.
Okay, so there's plantain chips seller.
Okay.
At, let's say, Abeka Junction.
Okay.
And in the recent times, we've heard stories of horrifying stories, actually, of people using black polythene bags in their oil whilst they're frying these plantain chips and all of that. How do we make sure? Now, I'm not saying the stories are true or they are not, but we've had these things come up in the recent times. But how do we make sure that all those who are hawking the plantain chips, bull fruit, and other kinds of snacks and food, Burkina and so on, that these people also are not posing a danger to the unsuspecting public?
Okay. So as I indicated earlier, we do sensitization a lot. I indicated that we've zoned Accra, and officers have been tasked or assigned to these zones to sensitize these vendors. We
Okay.
also work with NCC. We have a collaborative exercise that we are running with them, NCC, where we educate vendors on food safety and handling practices.
How do you do this? For example, if you take let's say Jowulu Junction as an example, right, where Fiesta Royale is, that enclave, how would you typically do sensitization for the vendors there? How does it work?
So for now, with the NCC exercise that we are doing, the FDA is doing with them, we have vans where we make recordings of these food safety messages. It plays along the road, or sometimes we have officers sit in the car. As the car is moving, we are talking to vendors. We also sometimes do one-on-one. So for instance, we move with a van to a location where we get down with the officers. We are assigned to, officers are assigned to vendors where we also engage them to take them through some of these food safety issues.
Hello. Yeah.
And are you trusting that the sensitization you are doing alone, will take care of our safety concerns?
So as I indicated earlier, I mentioned that for the street food vendors, those who are stationed, we started this work somewhere 2021.
Okay.
In collaboration with Kole Kuleto Municipal Assembly, where we did a pilot.
Okay.
So it's a gradual process. But for now, the vendors who are stationed, those are the ones that we normally would inspect, and then once they comply with good hygienic practices, they are licensed. But for the hawkers, for now, we are just sensitizing them.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Right. So it's easy to sensitize hawkers, you understand? But at the end of the day, I think it's also very important to go to the source, because hawkers just pick to sell. But the source is where the products are coming from. When you look at Lagos today, Lagos is obviously a neighboring country to Ghana, or more like normally, since we always forget the two other countries, because Nigeria and Ghana are twins. There is a cholera outbreak today, and that is just because of the drinks that they sell on traffic. They have blamed it on, some of the tiger nut drinks that is being sold on traffic that are not, that haven't gone through the right processes. So that's why we're asking you this question and saying that it is actually better, instead of sensitizing just the people on the streets, can you try and take it to the source? Because the ones on the streets are just picking to sell. They don't know how the source is. So that's why we are asking, is it possible to take it down to the source?
So for instance, for hawkers who we normally, for instance, we may have a food facility who prepares in bulk and then gives to
the hawkers,
who have clients who pick it to the street. For such places, once we identify them, we inspect the source as well.
Okay.
I see.
Yes,
all right.
please.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you for explaining to us the function of the street food inspection unit. And so that was Amatu Subor Osman. She's the head of the street food inspections unit of the Food and Drugs Authority. All right. Well,